Afghanistan says Pakistan bombed coast. It's in western province, killing 9 children and a woman. Government spokesman says the attack in coast destroyed a civilian home, killing 5 boys and 4 girls and of course a woman. At least 9 children and a woman have been killed after Pakistani forces bombed a house in the country's southeastern coast province, according to Afghanistan authorities. We will give you details because we are waiting from the feedback from the newsroom. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to SATV's International Affairs. My name is Rashid Kanchan. I will be your host today, and from Washington we will have our geopolitical correspondent, very seasoned journalist, former ambassador and a peace negotiator, very respected personality, Norman Floyd Barnes. And from Paris, France, we will have Evita Svedlova. She is a very famous personality. She works for biodiversity, climate change and women's rights. I welcome humbly both of you, but let me begin from Norman from Washington. Norman, the US administration has ordered a comprehensive review of refugees admitted under the previous presidential administration, also ending temporary protected status for Myanmar nationals. But I want to begin in such a way that I know you have so many other breaking news as well, so many stories you are following. Please begin the news you want to put in today's discussion. Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes from Washington, D.C.
Good morning. Today, we start another day. This is a holiday week. We have our traditional holiday starting Thursday, Thanksgiving, and everybody goes into a festive relaxation period, hopefully. But today, I'd like to report that a federal judge dismissed the indictment case against Comley and James, the former FBI director that was charged, and the New York prosecutor that was charged. Their indictments was thrown out of court. And the reason for that was that the prosecutor was illegally appointed. Basically, she came in at a period of time that was not legally, she was not legally appointed. So basically her indictment that she personally made the indictment against Comley and James, the indictments that she put in was also ruled illegally because she was not officially appointed by the courts, by the system, as a prosecutor for the Justice Department. So the judge decided that everything that she had dealt with regarding the case was inadmissible. So he threw the cases out. The Justice Department is going to appeal this, of course. But right now there's a victory for the other side, and the Trump's administration has another defeat. The other part of news is that our officials are in Abu Dhabi talking with the Russians about a peace negotiation, a ceasefire, hopefully to end the war. So they're talking at not the high level, but a low level about the mechanics of this peace agreement and how they can work these issues out moving forward to hopefully the ending of the war.
All right, sir. Let me welcome our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Panthu in the studio. Sir, I just want to draw your attention that there is a breaking news right this moment that Pakistan has bombed in Afghanistan southeastern province coast and 9 people died, including children, women, and attack was on a civilian house. Is there anything else you want to put in today's discussion, because I know you are following world's breaking news as well?
Thank you so much, Mr. Kanchan, and of course welcoming Norman Floyd Barnes joining us from Washington, D.C. As he was saying that the US and Russian officials are hosting officials are talking regarding the Ukraine peace talks in Abu Dhabi. So there is some kind of centric from movement away from Geneva and into Abu Dhabi. And not only so, almost more than 600 people have fled to villages in South Kordofan due to worsening insecurity. The UN Migration Agency said as local groups accused the paramilitary RSF of attacking the area. They said they'll go into a 3-month pause of such atrocities. And of course, we have something that is shaking the social media platforms, namely before it was known as Twitter, now it's known as X, as multiple United States accounts are now revealing their location, out of which some of the MAGA accounts, Make America Great Again accounts, are being operated from Thailand, Bangladesh, Nigeria, while a Homeland Security's page is being operated from Israel. This, I believe, is some kind of security risk, and it has taken various debates online. So these are the top that I have on my table.
Excellent. Good addition, sir. I really appreciate. Very good addition. Let me bring on board Evita Svedlova. She's the founder president of biodiversity organization based in Paris, France right this moment. I need her because COP30 took place in Belém, Brazil, near the Amazon. COP30 has ended with some programs they have taken. COP30 has ended with $120 billion repatriation or development fund for the victim countries, including Bangladesh. My first question would be to Evita Svedlova. You work for biodiversity, climate change, women rights. I appreciate your versatile working, and you are a very famous supermodel as well in European areas. My first question is, what does the creation of a just transition mechanism signify for climate justice and equality, because solidarity is also a big factor right this moment. Evita Svedlova from Paris, France.
Yes, good morning from France. I hope you all fine. Well, the just transaction mechanism is recognition that climate action must advance in the way that is fair socially, responsible and all-inclusive. It ensures that workers and community affected by the transaction are supported. Regions with fewer resources receive target financial assistance, and is shift to clean energy, strengthen social cohesion, and rather than weaken it. It also affects an important principles of international cooperation. Countries with greater capacity should help with those with a greater vulnerability to the vulnerable countries. So that's what I can say about the just transaction mechanism in short way.
All right, Evita, please stay on the line. I need to go to Washington once again because Donald Trump era US policy shifts. As you heard in the news that the US administration has ordered a comprehensive review of refugees admitted under the previous presidential administration. My question to Norman is, what are the likely humanitarian implications of officially reviewing 233,000? It's a huge number of refugees cases admitted under the previous administration. I'm talking about the Joe Biden administration. Mr. Norman from Washington.
Yes, this decision to evaluate the situation regarding the immigrants is going to have a profound effect on the human life. These people have suffered. They are now going under additional stress. It was first stressful first. Now it's more stressful. Now to the point that we thought we were safe. We thought we came to a country. We thought that we now got out of the fire. Now we found out that we're prepared to be tossed back into the conflict again, the fire. So it's a lot of problems going on with the mental part with these refugees and immigrants. they are now looking at the possibility of being deported back to where they came from. So all of this effort has now come to the point where now the current administration has shifted their views, and now the people are vulnerable to whatever the government wants to do, and they have really no say in it because they are victims. Basically, they've been victimized, believing that government was going to take care of them. Now they're finding out that it may not be that case.
Sir, Fox News praised this decision. They say this move may ensure that refugee administration allied more closely with current US security and immigration priorities, offering a chance to tighten oversight. And they also said ending protections for some foreign nationals might reduce long-term cost for the US and encourage self-reliance or return in case where conditions are deemed improved. But CNN hugely criticized. I will talk with Shamsulam Pantho, our international affairs commentator, and my question would be, sir, United States is a land of opportunity. United States is the country for the immigrants, and United States is only the country where you go and comply their rules, you can be the American. My question is, how might this policy shift affect US international image and its relationship with refugee producing countries?
Thank you so much, Mr. Kanchan, for this wonderful question. I want to begin by saying that the US states, all the 50 states that we know in America, there are some influx of immigrants that are coming from outside. Let alone from South Asia or Asia in general, but most of them are from Latin American countries, Venezuela and Colombia, as far as I've known and as far as I've seen. However, most of the jobs, most of the realizations inside America include the fact that they are heavily dependent on immigrants running these social jobs. Some work at Dunkin' Donuts, some work at IHOP, some even work at the Apple store. So this is, of course, adding on to the American economy, and anyone who pursues the American dream, the dream of living at large in America, the world's greatest country, these are the rhetorics that follow when one think about America. But in recent times, and of course in US President Donald Trump's tenure, we see that there have been heavy ICE protests that going on, and the deployment of national troops in multiple states. And one of the biggest examples of immigrant-led population would be New York. Today we are looking at Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani. He's an immigrant from both South Asian and African descent. And recently he had met Donald Trump. And even though they have opposing views, they agreed to maneuver for the betterment, the affordability issue for New Yorkers. I understand that New York is one of the most heavily populated and the most biggest city in United States of America. And I was there for roughly 1 week, and I've seen how the immigrant population is so thriving. There are entire neighborhoods that are full of immigrants from various regions. So once again, I would like to reiterate the fact that they add a huge amount of net worth and GDP to the current economy in America.
Excellent, excellent oversee on the project. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to go to Paris again, because COP30 has ended with some points, with some resolutions, but still debate is going on worldwide. So I want to get Evita production team. Can you tell me? Probably Evita is not with the line. I want to go to Washington again, sir. From a domestic political standpoint, what might be the motivations behind terminating protections for Burmese nationals? Sorry. Evita, hold for a moment. I am coming after Norman, because for Norman I have designed two questions. The decisions for the migrants has been hugely criticized by democratic lobby medias, especially CNN says such sweeping reviews risk undermining trust in the US as a safe haven and could leave vulnerable people with uncertain legal status and rights. The decision to remove protections from a group of such as Burmese nationals may overlook ongoing conflict and instability, they are raising ethical and international law concerns. So question is for Norman is, from a domestic political standpoint, what might be the motivations behind terminating protections for Burmese nationals? Because you know, you have to relate one thing, Bangladesh is hugely suffering because of 1.7 Burmese refugees here in this country since long time. Mr. Norman from Washington, I need your views.
Yes, my viewpoint on this is part of the Trump administration is to uh, control the amount of immigration into the United States. Unfortunately, going back to the previous administration's decisions and sanctions and opportunities they afforded immigrants coming in is somewhat kind of, well, it's very disruptive, and is very punitive to the people, both the people in the United States and also the immigrants. It's not fair. A decision was made. They complied with the restrictions and requirements to come in, and they came in legally. And now the current administration has determined that that policy, that procedure, that right that they had is now being reviewed and possibly taken away. So that has a profound effect on our economy because these people are coming here. They are basically working. They are part of staffing manpower, and they are contributing to the society. Now they pose a situation where now that could be all taken away. So that brings on the credibility of what you say and what you do. You know, you say one thing and then you get us here, you're working, and then now a new person comes in and he said, no, stop, the regulations, the rules is not working, and these people may have to stop what they're doing and leave. Well, it's not just the people, it's the people, the communities they're involved in. They're heavily involved, like New York, heavily involved in community. They become part of the essence of the city, the essence of the country. And now these things are now being questioned and possibly taken away, which has a resounding effect on the overall community and how things are done. So it makes people unstable, uneasy, and questioning the credibility of our government.
Norman, thank you very much, sir, for your very articulated and very fascinating response on these very tough questions. I have a breaking news at this stage in my hand. The capital of Ukraine, Kiev, was hit by a large missile and drone attack just this morning. At least 2 dead and 7 injured were reported. Mayor of that city said the attack is still ongoing. That means Ukraine is under attack by Russia. This came just hours after renewed hope for a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia. We'll go that topics later and after the break, but before that I need to bring Evita Swedlova from Paris. My question would be to you regarding again COP30 resolutions took place in Belém, Brazil. Madam, would you please let us know why did fossil fuel producing nations block a stronger language, and what does that mean for global climate ambition? You know, news is very clear. Why did they block stronger languages for releasing this $120 billion fund for the victim countries?
Yes, many fossil production nations express about stronger language because rapid transaction could affect an economic stability, revenue and social system. Their position highlight that countries are different stage of development, energy security remains essential, and strong financial guarantees are needed for a smooth transaction. For global climate ambition, that means progress that require more dialogue, more trust, and stronger financial support mechanism. It doesn't not block progress. It simply reminds you that consumers take time and understanding.
All right, Evita, I'll come back to you, but I again need to add our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pantho. Sir, you have heard that United States current administration is reviewing 233,000. It's a huge number of applications as refugee cases. Sir, my question is, how do these changes align or clash with US national security objectives and migration trends?
Thank you so much once again on the same question, or almost relative question. But see, the thing is, this huge number of people who are there, they are designating as refugees. We know that the US has deployed the military in deporting some of these refugees back to their initial countries, some in very inhumane considerations. They weren't given food, they've been tied up, and they've been one of the instances and examples were some people being deported back to India.
Yeah.
Just our neighbor. So this really just opens up the fact that they are trying to include American jobs, Americans in American jobs, as that's very important for the Republican Party and of course Donald Trump. But that does not mean that you are going to clip so many migrants from other countries. Whether or not they are still refugees, whether they are adding any kind of contribution to the economy must be factored in before they're given the title of a refugee.
Excellent, sir. We need to find out one solution. So we need the experience, the experts' comments. I think Norman would be the best because he's an American. He lives in Washington. He's following different important offices based in Washington like White House, Congress, Senate, Oval Office, left wing, right wing, and political turmoil. So question would be, what alternatives, sir, or policy safeguards should be in place of balance humanitarian concerns with broader or border or immigration control, because you have been experiencing and you have been going through this since hundreds of years, Mr. Norman, sir.
Thank you. It's a very interesting question. The issue is not the policies. The issue is the administration, how they view things. The Trump administration has a different viewpoint on immigration and global affairs than the past several administration. The problem comes with how the Trump administration is viewing the world and viewing their position, the United States position in the world. Their position is one of, we are going to take care of our own and we will help the other parts of the world when we can, but first we must take care of the United States. The issue is that the United States is a country of immigrants by nature. We depend heavily on their skills and what they bring to the table. These people, when they come to the United States, they have skills. There's certain things that Americans do no longer have. To be honest with you, we outsource everything. So by having them come here, it is a benefit to our society, our community, and to our government. They provide skill sets that we don't have. Once upon a time, our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents had these skills. But you got to remember, we are a country of immigrants. So where they came from somewhere else, they brought these skill sets here. Nothing was really developed here in terms of the population we have now. We have Native Americans that have skills, but they have been put on the reservation. So now we have people existing, walking around every day, have needs and supplies and questions. And the immigrant population brings services, brings skills, brings things to the economy that we don't currently have. So by excluding them, we are now form a gap. we have something, a services need to be done, but we don't have the skill sets and we haven't trained our people to do it, and nor do they want to do it because it was done by somebody else. So it's a catch-22 situation, but at the same time, controlling the population, controlling the immigrants coming in, you also disservice yourself.
Thank you, sir. I need to go to again to Paris because COP30 outcome, COP30 resolutions, COP30 decisions, and also divisions among the COP members has been still criticizing in the world media. So I need the experienced person who has dedicated his life for developing climate change, for working biodiversity, and also women's rights. Evita, would you please let us know, historically we have seen the climate finance targets are often missed, ignored, escaped. So I want to do a question to you like this: can adaptation finance of $120 billion annually be mobilized in time and be effective? I want to draw your attention regarding Bangladesh, as our international affairs commentator Shamsulam Pantho is always very vocal on this, on his rights, on his country's rights, that Bangladesh is at highest risk, but Bangladesh is getting no favor, nothing, which is not significant anything Bangladesh is receiving. So I need to do this question: do you think this adaptation finance of $120 billion will be in time and be effective? Evita.
Yes, mobilizing 120 billions annually, it's possible. The financial capacity exists, and new instruments, including climate funds and development banks, can make it achievable. So it's possible, yes. It affects really on predicting a long financing, the transparent allocation, direct support on vulnerable communities, direct support on vulnerable communities, with cooperation, accountabilities, the funding of signification, strength, silence. For me,
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's very possible that they will find the funds. Yeah.
I have received one overall assessment on this mobilization possible, but still uncertain. The world has the financial capacity. This is true. Over 7 trillion is spent yearly on fossil fuel subsidized alone. Redirecting a small fraction would meet the $120 billion annually and very easily. Evita, I want to do one more question to you. Recently, the women rights and racism in Europe are hugely reported in top medias. Would you mind to share your experience? You are living in such a city, which nation is called one of the most civilized nation in the world, French, but huge discrimination and racism reporting are going on. Do you have any comment on that?
Well, racism and discrimination, it's for fragile people. Stronger people did not need to focus on ethnicities. So we all in one planet, and we don't need to have this type of complexes. And women are very important for society because, as I say, they are mothers and they are the ones who bring the future for our society. So stability of women and their protection and their equality in many ways, it's very important for education of our children. It's very simple than that.
I have the last question for you, that is about the women rights. You have heard that few moments ago Pakistan has bombed Afghanistan, 9 children along with women died. The women are still less paid than the men. The women are still less privileged than the men. As a woman, and as you have dedicated yourself for the protecting rights of the woman, do you have anything to say? how United Nations, how UNESCO, how World Health Organization, how UNDP should give a high priority focus on women's rights and women's protection. Evita, this will be your last question. I know you have time limitations.
It's about the justice. The justice have to be evaluated for women and the protection. And it's have to have a strong protection, because women today with a child, there is no way that she is without the home and money to develop a future for a child. There must be sure security, scholarity for the children, and so on and so on. So women are very important, especially when they are in the motherhood. That's even more fragile for the society. See, if the mother is stressed about the child and it's very insecure in her life, the stress go to the children, and the society is suffering for it. So it's all start about stability and the education of our new civilization, and we need strong and stable future civilization. Without strong mothers that are protected by men or by the society, it will be not possible. We cannot leave women in distraction or being without food and suffering of hunger, leaving them without a house and no social protection. That's will be the law very strong, and the one of the most important, because we are needing a strong society. So the mothers are very important.
All right, Evita, I think our international affairs will put some addition also, because you have raised one very good question. If mother is not protected, if the mother is not respected, if the mother is not facilitated, how children will grow and how the world will grow, how the world will continue its human on the planet. Evita, you have done extremely well. I appreciate you from all the top management of our company, SA Television, one of the leading television in the country. We are really grateful to you for your contribution. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have still many things to discuss, but time has come to go for a short commercial break. After the break, we will have Israel attacks on Gaza and Russia attacks on Ukraine. These two heat topics after the break.
Grand Palace Hotel and Resorts, Jollar Par, Zinda Bazar, Silet, Bangladesh.
বাংলাদেশে দীর্ঘ ৩৭ বছরের সাফল্যের অগ্রযাত্রায় এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন আধুনিক ও শৈল্পিক স্থাপত্য শিল্পের দেশ মালয়েশিয়ার কুয়ালালামপুরে। লাখো গ্রাহকদের প্রয়োজনের দিক লক্ষ্য রেখে নিশ্চিত, বিশ্বস্ততা ও আন্তর্জাতিক মানের সেবা এখন ডোর টু ডোর। এসএ পরিবহন কুরিয়ার অ্যান্ড পার্সেল সার্ভিস SDN BHT 120 Jalan Tun HS Lee 50050 Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস আপনার সেবায় সব সময়।
Explore the magnificent view of Rangpur. 5-star facilities, Reed Chain Hotel, Grand Palace. Relax in spacious rooms and suites. Enjoy local and international cuisines. Banquet and conference room. Helipad.
As you heard, Russia has launched missile and drone attacks on Kiev, hitting residential buildings and energy infrastructure. Meanwhile, peace plan talks remain far apart. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to know from our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pantho. Sir, you know, peace talk is going on. 28 points has been submitted by the Donald Trump brokered issue. What are the strategic objectives behind Russia's renewed strikes on Kiev and infrastructure beyond immediate battlefield gains?
Thank you so much. It's a broader question. I want to give our viewers, but the latest is the U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll is holding meetings with Russian officials in Abu Dhabi about a proposed plan for ending the war in Ukraine. So the movement of Marco Rubio in Geneva and then the U.S. military Army Secretary Dan Driscoll in Abu Dhabi, the whole region and the entirety of the U.S. is trying to bring forward a mediation, while Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan told his Russian counterpart that Ankara would continue its efforts to help ensure Russia-Ukraine war ends with just and lasting peace. All the leaders are influencing this such decision. Well, to some extent, I understand that U.S. President Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin have some kind of nexus between one another. They are trying to, they have proposed a 28-point peace plan towards a ceasefire between the two sides as Kiev is being stricken with drones and missile barrages, while Kiev is also striking Russian offenses into the eastern border. So that is the latest that I have. But one of the issues that we must understand is that Ukraine is the underdog here, and frankly speaking, they are losing out on the fight. Almost 35% of eastern Ukraine have been somewhat taken over by the Russian military as a result of this confrontation. And Donald Trump is trying to see that it is better for now that you concede this land or let go of this land on your eastern flank, so that we can assure you that no further Russian escalation can happen on the mainland or the remaining parts of Ukraine. And of course, on Volodymyr Zelensky's end, he is being met with different stance from Washington ever since the start of Donald Trump's tenure. So I would want to say that this war is spiraling out while all the regional players are trying to find an end to this massacre.
Sir, very fascinating response. I really like the way you have described the entire situation, but I want to know one more thing from you. That is, during the Joe Biden administration, Russia attacked Kiev, Ukraine, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky openly says that NATO is with him, with his country. United States was very naked to support him and even sent the arms, ammunitions, drones, everything. What happened? When administration changed, Joe Biden gone, Donald Trump came, the things changed and Volodymyr Zelensky became alone. You have got you have already given a hint. Probably there is a nexus between Trump and Putin. Would you please explain how credible and realistic is the current peace framework being discussed between Ukraine, Russia and Western partners, because 28 points supports Vladimir Putin, not Volodymyr Zelensky.
Thank you for breaking down regarding the 28 points. See, what happened was that because of this fighting between Russia and Ukraine, countries such as Belarus, Poland, Finland, they all started worrying that what is the security guarantee that Russia would not choose to strike them next. However, the leadership qualities to lead Ukraine in this time really is faltering, because one should not depend on the allegiance of others. If if Volodymyr Zelensky would think otherwise, why not target the Russian regime or the Kremlin with diplomacy or head-to-head talks as a leader of my country to the opposing country? He could have done that. He could have also chosen to stay away from NATO. Because of his haste of wanting to be a part of NATO, today Russia has attacked its border. And to be frank, he does not have a long political history as a major political players around the world. We have Emmanuel Macron, you have Narendra Modi, you have Donald Trump. These are people, and of course, Vladimir Putin. These are Xi Jinping. Yeah. These are people who have long, vast political strategies in their game. They have a huge number of advisors who are helping them understand the strategic outcomes of doing things. So in this case, it would be far better for Volodymyr Zelensky to understand that right now the US has a different stance in mediating ceasefires all over the world. So it's not just Ukraine and Russia at the point. So the United States administration is doing as it wishes. However, Europe as a whole understands that Russia is a threat to almost every nation out there in Europe, including the United Kingdom. Recently, a Russian monitoring boat was seen off the coast of the United Kingdom, and what happened was it was firing laser pointers at the Royal Air Force, and that prompted Downing Street to release a statement that United States is ready for any kind of confrontation. So that is the narrative, and that is what is happening on the field regarding to Russia and Ukraine, Russia versus the entire Europe.
Sir, one thing I need to understand, during the Joe Biden era, we have heard NATO and the United States is backing Ukraine to retaliate the attacks from Russia. But recently, I have noticed after the NATO summit, Donald Trump never mentioned NATO. He always say European Union, European countries will have to come forward to protect themselves. What does it actually mean between these two lines?
Well, to some extent, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, Europe and America and Canada, they're all part of this security alliance that they have. And of course, during the World War II, they used to say United States and the allies. And who were these allies? The people in Europe. It has faltered regarding coming to Ukraine and Russia. You know, NATO Secretary Mark Rutte had said that all nations of NATO must increase their defense budget from 2% to 5% to meet the security goals up until 2035, 10 years from now. But the thing is, they are expecting Russia to have some kind of broader implications, not only towards Ukraine, but towards the surrounding neighborhood. We have Finland, who has a long border with Russia. And what I understand is, because of such war, because of such war front, every now and then we see Russian aircrafts violating the airspace of other nations. Spy drones are surveillance drones are doing the surveillance one needs to understand who the next enemy could be. This is, of course, on the Russian side. But at this moment, the Russian economy does not seem to be faltering in the face of US-backed sanctions. Russia has some powerful friends. Let me mention to our viewers who they are. Of course, immediate neighborhood includes China. It also includes North Korea. It also includes Venezuela and Iran. All of these countries have some kind of dissatisfaction and, some kind of negative feelings towards the United States of America.
I appreciate the wisdom and the style you have achieved on international commentary. This is so fascinating. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to draw your attention with the media reflection, because as a media, we follow other medias. Some media says continued Western and Ukrainian resolve highlights that aggression will not go unchecked, sending a message to other potential aggressors. Efforts to engage in peace talks, even if imperfect, show that diplomacy remains viable and that war is not the only path forward. They discourages war. After the break, we will go for Gaza Strip and Israel conflict, but I want to put some criticism also against this strike. The scale of destruction and civilian impact suggest the conflict is far from contained, raising questions about the effectiveness of current deterrence. On the other side, repeated infrastructure attacks may degrade Ukraine's long-term viability as a functioning state and prolong human suffering with global ripple effects. Ladies and gentlemen, we will come back with Israel-Gaza situation latest after the short break.
Gymnasium, beauty salon, restaurants and bar, cafe lounge, experience luxury at Grand Palace, Rangpur.
Israel's continuous attack on innocent women, children and civilians in Gaza, Palestine, Lebanon is always in the top headlines of the world news. Same today here, ladies and gentlemen. Despite a ceasefire, reports say that Israel has violated the truce nearly 500 times in 44 days in Gaza. Further strikes have killed dozens of Palestinians. So unfortunate. IDF doesn't respect the ceasefire. Netanyahu doesn't respect ceasefire. Israeli people are crazy. They don't respect the world leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to do a humble question to my honorable international affairs commentator. Sir, what are the implications of repeated truce violations of future ceasefire credibility in the Gaza-Israel conflict? He is unstoppable, sir.
Thank you for the question. I feel that when we talk about Israel and their atrocities towards the Gazan people and towards the region as a whole, they are warmongers and people who take place in genocide. If it's not the Israeli people, it's definitely the Israeli administration. Let me tell our viewers, since the ceasefire took place, Israeli attacks have killed at least 312 Palestinians while injuring 760 more people. So we were counting up until 65,000 those casualties who have
69
died.
Sir, final.
69 was the final amount of number of deaths that have happened as a result of the IDF doing this attack. And recently we see that they have taken out a Hezbollah leader in Lebanon. So it's not just the Palestinians who have been attacked in this recent issue, but as I was saying in the start of the show, that Homeland Security Twitter or X handle is being operated from Israel. Their support and vice versa support from America is what they are fueling, Israel is being fueled by America and vice versa. So what I understand is that United Nations have been not enough support for the people. Every now and then the aid seems to be a controlled maneuver, a controlled genocide. It's not just one genocide, it's a controlled genocide. So here we have instances of organs being taken away from people. We have instances of food grain mixed with dangerous chemicals. There is no fresh water. No one is coming out and about to understand the reconstruction of Gaza. We know that Donald Trump created a board of peace, but all of these narratives and all of these rhetorics do not understand the Palestinian determination. So once again, I would like to say that Israeli soldiers are committing these atrocities on one side, going back home and killing themselves on the other.
I really want to remind our viewers one thing. From day one, when we became very, very happy, even the world leaders became very happy regarding this ceasefire. Our international affairs commentator clearly said to us in the studio many times that, see, this is going to be a fragile ceasefire, and we can see the result in 55th days that still they are killing innocent people. They are not maintaining the clause and rules and terms and conditions of this ceasefire. Sir, as ceasefire is failing, world medias are silent. I want to do a question like this: how should international actors who generated this ceasefire, who worked for this ceasefire and who operated this fire, what would be their response when humanitarian conditions worsen alongside continued military operations by Israeli Defense Force and silence of the Israeli parliament as well, and silence of Washington as well?
Thank you for the question. And of course, this mediation and this newly implemented fragile ceasefire, as I've been saying, this is a direct result of the Sharm el-Sheikh declaration held in Egypt. And before that, you can't forget Qatar and its effort to understand what Israel is doing to the Palestinians. And one way that Qatar is helping is because they have allowed this national state agency Al Jazeera to be directly reporting from Jordan. You know that Israel has blocked Al Jazeera's direct reporting capabilities from within the Strip. So this is just another hostility between Israel and the international players, as you were mentioning. We know that multiple reporters and multiple media influencers, if you call them a media journalists, have been killed. The number is well above 300 people who have been killed in this latest clash. But the 20-point Gaza plan is hosted by US President Donald Trump. It includes the fact that it will become Gaza will become a de-radicalized terror-free zone. These are words on pieces of paper. One must understand Hamas and their tunnels and where they're stuck, as Israeli forces are still on the ground waiting to completely eradicate Hamas. So their stance is one that we can consider.
Sir, sometimes our audience or viewers ask us, why don't you talk about the non-state actors? I mean, what is the role of non-state actors like Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthi in escalating or containing the conflict, and how can that be managed? Because this is also true. These are non-state actors and they are the threat for the country like Israel as well. This is also true. What would be your comment on that?
The Israeli administration sees the Hamas, Hezbollah and Houthis, they are proxies of Iran. That's how they would call it, that these terror groups or these groups are hoisting such narratives that goes against the fact of religious ties. We know that the Jews, there's religious fighting in between. Forget the two-state solution. You must implement the two-state solutions when they can see that there is a religious harmony in that location where there isn't. They are often fighting over Temple Mount as a common place for both sides of the religious spectrum. So some of the fighting that we see in this area is stemmed from religious indifferences which are now causing realistic humanitarian implications.
All right, sir, time is running very fast. Still, we have something to share with our viewers, that world media is criticizing the IDF's action on innocent women, children and people in Gaza. They said the high number of alleged truce violations undermines any path or lasting peace and fuels distrust among civilians and combatants alike. And also said humanitarian toll appears to be mounting, raising serious moral and legal concerns about proportionality and civilian protection in this conflict. We always want ceasefire should be maintained by both the sides, Israel and Hamas. On the other side, Houthis, Hezbollah. We wish the world should be in peace condition. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you again tomorrow with new news, breaking stories and with new guests.